Okay, let's talk about linen. So we're going to dig more into the fiber when we get into the main part of the lecture, but basically linen is a textile made from the fibers of the flax plant, and it is one of the oldest textiles in the world. The history of linen goes back really to prehistoric, almost to caveman time. Linen fiber has been found in prehistoric caves in Georgia, which is part of modern day Russia, and that gives evidence that flax was used as far back as 36,000 years ago. Fragments of fibers and yarns and various types have been found also in Switzerland that date back to 800 before the Common Era. Linen is even mentioned in ancient religious texts, both the Jewish Torah, which later turned into the Old Testament of the Bible, restricts the wearing of a mixture of linen and wool. And linen is also mentioned in the Bible as the fabric that angels wear. But where we see linen really take a stronghold is in ancient Egypt. And linen was worn across every social stratification, every class wore linen. So the poor wore linen to the pharaoh, and the reports wore linen. And in part because linen is great for hot, humid environments. And that's what Egypt is. So linen came in a variety. It came in what we will call the more coarser version, even though there's not really a coarse version, the more coarser versions, and the finest of the fine. And fine Egyptian linen could not be duplicated. And even to this day, textile designers cannot recreate the methods to create some of the finest linen that has been found. Fine linen fabrics, Egyptian linen fabrics, were literally worth their weight in gold. And in many instances, fine linen was traded, and it was used as a form of currency with other ancient civilizations. Not only was it used for clothing, but it was also used for the mummification process. So when some of the ancient tombs were opened, not only were the mummies wrapped in linen, but there were these voluminous linen curtains surrounding the burial chambers. Linen was the fabric used for the mummification process, and up to 2 miles of linen could be used on one royal mummy. And these burial shrouds symbolize light and purity and wealth. But linen wasn't only produced in Egypt. It was also produced in ancient Mesopotamia, but it was really reserved for the higher classes, essentially because it just had a high cost and it's often difficult to work with. Flax is not, the fabric has no elasticity in it, so it is difficult to cultivate and weave. Linen did make its way all over the world. It was cultivated in Egypt and Mesopotamia and India, and there's even written evidence that it was cultivated very early on in Greece. It even had its own ideogram. And in addition to making it through the Mediterranean, eventually it was taken to Ireland, and now we also know fine Irish linen. When we move into the Common Era, Belfast, Ireland became the most famous linen producing center in history. And the majority of the world's linen produced during the Victoria era was actually produced in Belfast. And to this day, Irish linen, so linen produced in Belfast, is still not only of the highest quality, but considered the finest linen that you can buy. As with most of the textiles that we have, that we've looked at so far, and actually we're going to look at going forward, China is the largest producer of linen. However, that high quality linen still remains in Europe. So we talked about Ireland, but Italy and Belgium continue to be significant linen producers. Okay, so you have a background of the history of linen. And next, I want you to dive in to the article below.